The last example is on wind speed. A researcher claims that the average wind speed in a certain city is 8 miles per hour. A sample of 32 days has an average wind speed of 8.2 miles per hour. The standard deviation of the population is 0.6 miles per hour. At alpha is 0.05, is there enough evidence to reject the claim? Use the p-value method. Again, here we're going to go through the step 1, state the hypothesis, and identify the claim. Notice that our average speed was 8, so we're going to say our hypothesis, our null hypothesis, is going to be mu equals 8. And our alternative hypothesis is going to be mu not equal to 8. We just wanted to know if there was a change. Now, in identifying the claim, here it says right here, researcher claims that it's 8 miles per hour. So it gives me right away that this is actually going to be the claim. The null hypothesis. All right, step 2 says find that test value. And because we know the standard deviation of the population, then we're going to use our z-value. So we go x, our mu, which was 8, but we got to figure out, well, what's the average of the population that they got was 8.2. So we'll put in 8.2. Divided by the standard deviation, going back to my picture, 8.2 was the mean, but the standard deviation of the population is 0.6. So 0.6 divided by the square root of the sample size, and if I'm not mistaken, it was 32 days. So we put in 32. Get this into our calculator, and our z-value becomes 8.9. Okay? Next is to find the p-value. Okay, now the p-value means we take our z and we find that probability that that's going to happen. Using our normal distribution table, table E, we're going to go and find that p-value. So I'm looking for 1.89. Should be over here, 1.89, right there. So 0.9706. We have, since this is a two-tailed table or two-tailed test, this is where we have to take our p-value and go 1 minus that, and you get 0.0294. Now, this area is for only one section of here. It ends up being this part here, but because we're looking for two-tabled, we're going to times this by 2. Again, because it's two-tailed, you're going to get 0.0588. Okay? Now, we're going to compare our p-value to our alpha value. Going back to my problem, my alpha value was 0.05. So we're going to compare that. So 0.0588, compare that to 0.05. You'll notice that our p-value is greater than 0.05, and because it's greater than, that means it did not fall in that space. We're going to then not reject. Okay, if it was less than that, then we would reject the claim. Now that we know we're not going to reject the claim, which was this up here, we're going to say there's not enough evidence to reject the claim that the average wind speed is 8 miles per hour. That is how you would write it out. There is not enough evidence to reject claim. Okay. And that is how you work through a two-tailed. Notice the only difference between a one-tailed and two-tailed is that we had to take that p-value and multiply it by 2 to compensate for those two values. A couple of things to consider here. Guidelines for p-value with no alpha. Just read through this slide to kind of get an idea for what it is asking for. And then lastly, the significance. The researcher should distinguish between statistical significance and practical significance. When the null hypothesis is rejected at a specific significance level, it can be concluded that the difference is probably not due to chance and thus is statistically significant. However, the results may not have been any practical significance. It is up to the researcher to use common sense when interpreting the results of a statistical test. This concludes section 8.2. Please go to your assignments and start working on your hypothesis testing when you know your mean. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.